The Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, no Zeke. Tony Pollard's the guy now, even though it's only on the franchise tag. Walk me through the off season. You mentioned Mozzie in the draft. Well, walk me through what you think. I think actually, real quick, I think the trades that they made for Cooks and
Yes.
Gilmore were really low key, some stealth moves, and that's not something we're used to when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. But walk
Yeah.
me through your thoughts on the Cowboys off season.
So listen, obviously the first move that they made, the most biggest thing that they did was addition by subtraction by getting rid of Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore, independent contractor, really his job is to get first downs and build his resume. His job is not to win football games. He's gone. Now let's talk about Ezekiel Elliott. Listen, it was time. You know what I'm saying? It was
Facts.
time. He looked bad going down the stretch, so that was not a good look. But listen, great Dallas Cowboy for many years, but it's time to move on and hopefully, listen, Ezekiel Elliott can go to New England and lead the league in touchdowns. It really could happen because that's really all he's good at right now is
Right.
short, is goal line and pass protection. The two trades, fantastic. You go out there and you get Gilmore. Now you have a chance to have the best secondary in the league, right? That is a thing that really could happen in Dallas, along with the best defensive line in the league. Now, if you like the way T.Y. Hilton played for the Cowboys down the stretch last week, Brandon Cooks is that time 100. He is the perfect guy to pair alongside CeeDee Lamb. And another thing, Dak Prescott does not throw, amazingly, he doesn't really throw 50-50 balls. He likes wide open wide receivers, and he's still throwing interceptions. But Cooks is a guy who can get wide open. Now, he's bounced around, played for a number of teams, but listen, he's still not 30 years old yet. And the last couple of he hasn't really had a decent quarterback for a while now. So the additions of Cooks and Gilmore and then the drafting of Mozzie Smith, it kind of showed you, okay, Dallas is trying to win with defense this year. So that's a good start right there.
I agree. I think at times we can be overcritical. I think at times we can just try to find reasons to be negative on a team. I mean, look, I am not the biggest Mike McCarthy guy. I don't know why anyone would be. But I do think, getting Kellen Moore, his walk-in papers, I'm not saying it's all him, but something wasn't right. I don't know what it was. Something just wasn't right. I think this offense with Zeke not there, I think over the last couple of years, it's been a forcing of the run game because they had Zeke, and we know what Zeke used to be. So it's kind of like, well, he's still there, so we still kind of have to feed him. I don't think they have that type of loyalty towards Tony Pollard. So it's like, yo, I really think they're going to run it out here and go with 11 personnel. Like, I really think you open this up and get the 3 wide receivers with the addition of Cooks, especially to go along with CeeDee Lamb and Gallup. I really like those 3 being like the main set for this offense. And as you mentioned with Dak Prescott, I think you build this offense around Dak. Stop tiptoeing around it. He's the guy. Build this offense around him. And I think that's why, obviously Zeke is also old, but I think that's why get Zeke up out of there so you're not, indebted to loyalty there. Tony Pollard knows his place. I think this old line, with Tyler Smith, who was dominant at tackle low key last year.
If you could have voted for if offensive linemen was to get votes for offensive rookie of the year, Tyler Smith would have gotten some votes for offensive rookie of the year. Tyron Smith is a Hall of Famer. Zach Martin might be the best offensive lineman to ever play football. You know what I'm saying? So they've done a good job building up that offensive line. That's been one of their strengths over the course of the past decade or so. That will continue to be a strength. Tony Pollard, you just saw it last year. The difference between him and Ezekiel Elliott was night and day. Tony Pollard, and then we like what we see out of Deuce Vaughn. But listen, one of the reasons why let's just talk honestly about the Dallas Cowboys, right?
Please,
and
let's do
the
it.
elephant in the room. The only person that's bigger than the star is not a dude that's ever played one snap. It's Jerry Jones. And that's the problem in Dallas, right? Jerry Jones sets the culture. The head coach should be the person to set the culture. And that's the problem in Dallas. Because if a player has an issue, he's not going to go to Mike McCarthy. He's going to go to Jerry Jones. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So Mike McCarthy comes into a situation, right? And he has Kellen Moore and other coaches placed on his staff. Then Jerry says Kellen Moore is going to call the plays. Now, after back-to-back 12-5 seasons, Mike McCarthy now has leverage. All right, I want Kellen Moore going. Give it to my guy, Schottenheimer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm going to call the plays because now he has leverage. But still, when they show up at training camp, who's the first person standing in front of a microphone? Jerry Jones.
As always.
So ultimately, if the head coach doesn't set the culture, that is ultimately going to be problematic. But the roster on paper, you're looking at it right now, it's one of the best in the NFL.
Right.
But guess what? It always is. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you really got to see if somebody can put it together. If they do not make it to the NFC Championship game this year, it's going to be tough.
With McCarthy taking over the play calls, do you think that it'll be more of a pass first instead of run first team? Because it certainly appears to be, because no offense to Tony Pollard, he certainly is an upgrade at this point, in Zeke's career. He's certainly an upgrade over Zeke, but I wouldn't call him a franchise back. But so with that being said, and the investments they've made have seemingly all been to favor the pass game, are we going to see a new look Dallas offense where it's not going to be so predicated on establish the run, let Dak cook off, play action or bootlegs and whatnot? Do you think we're going to open it up this year?
No, I think it's still established the run, keep the defense rested so they can be able to rush the passer. But this is what I think, though. But I think the passing game is more efficient. I liken back to that 2014 team, that finished the fight team. That team right there, DeMarco Murray led the NFL in rushing that year. As a matter of fact, DeMarco Murray won Offensive Player of the Year. Tony Romo threw 38 touchdowns that year. It's efficient. When the offense runs the football better, the quarterback should be more efficient. So instead of getting volume, you get efficiency. So that's why I think the passing game will be very efficient. So you won't get as much passes, but the passes you do get are going to be big plays, they're going to be chunk plays, and they're going to be touchdowns. Because listen, talked about A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, not a 20 yards to catch guy, but CeeDee Lamb can give you 115, 120 receptions.
He's up there. Yeah, for sure. All right, I'll hit the chat real quick. There's definitely some Cowboys commentary going on in the chat. Let's see. Okay, Magic Man is in the house. He's saying
up,
NFC
Man?
Championship game or bust for the Dallas Cowboys.
But what's bust, though? Is Jerry going to leave? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Listen, I would have.
Well, McCarthy would be gone though, right? Like I think now he's gotten rid of Kellen Moore.
Seasons.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I mean, but McCarthy's he's not known to be that guy. Like, yeah, he won a bowl with Aaron Rodgers, but it's like, I think if anyone's going to be expendable, it has to be him, right? I mean, certainly, obviously, it'll never be Jerry, it'll never be Steve, and any of those guys up top, but it has to be McCarthy, right?
It's either, listen, would you extend 4? I would not extend the quarterback. Like, I would make the quarterback work. I would make the quarterback play for the extension. And then if the quarterback don't like it, like I thought they should have drafted your man out of Tennessee this year to send the quarterback a message.
Hendon
but,
Hooker?
Hendon Hooker. They wasn't going to do that. Okay, I get that. But now they're talking about, adding a couple more years to this contract. Let's slow down before we add some more years to this contract. I think it would be tough. Let's say Dallas loses in the division round again this year. After a 10 to 12 win season. Can you really can this dude after back-to-back 12-5? What if he goes 12-5 3 years in a row? But then again, in the NBA, we saw Monty Williams.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it can happen.
Yeah,
it's
right.
certainly precedent. Like, and plus, it's how they look. Like if 4 plays out of his mind, if the offense doesn't miss a beat and looks how we think they look, and it's maybe the defensive fault, which is hard for me to imagine, but let's just paint a scenario where maybe it's the defense's fault instead of the offense, then I think he skates. But if there's any sort of regression from 4 or from any of these dudes after you done got Kellen Moore up out of there, there's nobody else to blame but McCarthy at that point.
Yeah, you see, now you don't have nobody to point the finger at. See, now if you're pointing fingers, you got to point at the quarterback. And for the coach to go in there and start pointing fingers at the quarterback, you don't know how Jerry might take that. I don't think Jerry's in love with the quarterback, though.
He's not. Never has, right? He had him on the franchise tag and all that. Like, he never.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I'm a big Tony Romo guy. Okay. So, I was never sold. You know what I'm saying? But here's the deal, right? I was watching something, and Greg Cosell was on there. Greg Cosell from NFL Films. And he said something that I had been thinking, but he put it much better than I could. He said that since the injury, Dak Prescott is a different player. Prescott used to be a playmaker. Now Prescott is a ball distributor. And you can't pay a ball distributor $40 million. When you're $40 million, you got to make plays. Is Dak scared to run after the injury? He's eliminated. Rushing is out of his game now. He does not run.
I agree, and I think that's why I'm hoping this year with no Zeke there, I would like to think if they do 11 personnel, there's got to be some running lanes for him. There's got to be some running lanes. You got to get some RPO shit in there. You got to evolve with the times. Everyone's doing RPO. Everyone's doing rollouts and bootlegs. And they do that with Dak. But as you mentioned, he doesn't really run the rock, and it could be tied to the injury a couple of years ago. But I mean, he hasn't really. He's one of those athletic QBs, or he's perceived to be athletic, but he actually was athletic at one point. I don't think he's that far removed from that, right? I'm not bugging in that.
If I can just pull over a screen right here, I would think that Dak Prescott may have had a double-digit rushing touchdown season in his career. Dak Prescott was big in the running game for the Dallas Cowboys throughout the early part of his career, pre-injury. Let me look at some stats right quick. Rushing and listen. He has 26 rushing touchdowns in his career. He has 2 in the last 2 seasons. So I know I'm not tripping. The running is going.
Yeah,
it's good. He doesn't run anymore. Yeah,
it's very important if they try to get that off. I do think that needs to be the next step, because now we're seeing where before it was a niche thing to be able to run. Now it's a prerequisite to run the rock. If you're not athletic, it's going to be curtains for you to get drafted in this NFL. You can't be a statue in the pocket anymore. You can't be fucking Drew Bledsoe. You have to be able to move and get around and be able to dip and evade and all of that shit. So we know Dak has it. Was it the system? Is it his confidence in his body off the injuries? I think that will be another sign of watching for this year, for sure.
Exactly. See, he's not remember when Joe Flacco first started getting bad? He would just look at the pocket. Dak doesn't look at the pocket, but he does not try to make plays. Yeah. Right. So, and listen, that's real for a quarterback. The happy feet, do some big dudes coming after you.
All right, let's see what else we got here in the chat. Corey, also a Romo fan. Real Romo fans like myself were never all in on Dak.
There you go. Okay. Because Tony Romo cared, bro. Dak Prescott throw interception in the championship game, and then he I got to do better. What the fuck you mean you got to do better? You know what I'm saying? Tony Romo collapsed in the locker room in Philadelphia. Right. That's how I want my quarterback to go out.
I'd like you give a damn.
I'm like, you know what? The guy on the floor, he cares. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Dak Prescott come to the podium, cowboy hat, talk about, I got to do better. Man, get out of here.
All right, let's see what else we got. Corey, don't extend Dak. Go get Kyler Murray from Arizona and bring him home.
No, God, no. Let me tell you something. Kyler Murray, no. Don't bring Kyler Murray nowhere near the Dallas Cowboys. Please, Jesus. Yo, when Buda Baker got hurt, everybody on the team went to the cart to greet Buda Baker.
Except
for Kyler Murray.
Except
for Kyler Murray. He's not a leader. You know what I'm saying? And you can't, don't bring Kyler Murray nowhere near Dallas. I could see him being an Atlanta Falcon next year, though.
Ooh, I like that. Spicy. I like that. Because obviously, Desmond Ridder, I mean, look, I did the NFC South last week, and people were really in the comments trying to swear up and down that they've seen enough from Desmond Ridder. I'm like, what the f*** are you talking about? 4 starts? Are you kidding me? Desmond Ridder, you're handing the keys after 4 games? Out of here, bro.
I got to tell people all the time, we see the games, the coaches see the practice. So maybe they think it's a little something there. They went with listen, he runs, I know we're talking NFC East, but right quick on Ridder. He runs Arthur Smith offense. That's a game manager offense. So let's see what he can do.
That's and again, with all those weapons, how can you trick that off? It's almost like, yo, if you're Desmond Ridder, I got Bijan, Algiers, and Cordell behind me. I got Drake on one side. I got Pitts up the fucking seam. I should be nice in this. If he's mid, I would do
Then
like you said, and try to go get a real QB in there next year. Like, stop
yeah,
fucking around. Arthur Blank, we know he got the pockets. Like, go ahead and dig into them pockets, bruh, and go get yourself a quarterback.
exactly. You know how much a slab of wood costs at Home Depot where Arthur Blanks is the
That's what I'm saying, dog. Like, we
exactly.
already
You
know,
stole
bro.
enough wood pause
Yeah,
to
facts. All right, let's see. We'll do a couple more before we move on. And you know what? Nah, let's go ahead and finish this off. So, Cowboys win total over under 10 games.
yeah.
That's
I
a
would take
rough
the
number.
over 10. I take the
Okay,
over 10. That's probably going to jump up to 10 and a half. I take the over 10. Listen, the Dallas Cowboys is a funny team to bet on their win total because you're never really going to get the right number because half the country loves the team, half the country hate the team. You know what I mean?
exactly.
So you got a situation where the numbers and the juice can fluctuate up and down as we move throughout the course of the season. But I would take the Dallas Cowboys to be an 11 to 12 win team again this year, even with that schedule being tough. One thing about the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott, they dominate the NFC East. They've been doing it for a number of years now. And as far as their opponents this year, you know, Aaron Rodgers does come back to town. But the AFC East is a division that they can handle. And then the NFC North is, you know, that you can, you know, listen, I'm not buying the Lions.
Yeah, come on. Yeah. Let's see. I will. I will only take the over only because I think the bottom half of this division is really mid, and I think they'll be able to, as you mentioned, like winning games in the division certainly is important. So I'll go ahead and take the over as well, but I think it'll be predicated on the fact that I don't think the Giants are as good as people think they are, and I think Washington has a lot of shit to figure out. So I'll go ahead and take the over as well. Magic Man one time in the comments, the only way Dak gets another year with the Cowboys is somehow the Cowboys don't make the NFC Championship game, is if Dak pulls a 2021 Josh Allen and where he plays amazing. But
So interesting because Josh Allen is an AFC version of Dak Prescott. A lot of hype, a lot of interceptions, and you know, no appearances in the champion. No, well, I think he has been to the championship game, I believe. No, has the Bills been to the championship? I don't believe the Bills have been to the championship. They lost that game. They lost. They losing the division round, like Dallas.
No, they lost 2 years ago. That was the
when they beat Lamar.
The Chiefs.
When they beat Lamar, they went to the championship game that year. That is correct.
There you go.
All right, and now in Dallas fantasy, Pollard is the man, but don't forget about the other running backs too. Deuce Vaughn, and he's not listed. Malik Davis. Obviously,
Davis,
the Dallas offense is legit. Now the tight end they don't have one, but the offense is legit. You can trust all those dudes for fantasy. I'm not really big on Prescott, but Pollard good, Vaughn good, Cook's good, Lamb good, and then Gallup at his ADP. Jalen Tolbert could be an interesting sleeper if somebody gets hurt. He's a guy who's been making some plays in camp.
Okay. Are you under the impression that CeeDee Lamb is a first or second round pick in the draft?
I would take CeeDee Lamb in the first round on the turn. So anywhere between picks 19 to 2-2, CeeDee Lamb should go in that range.
Copy that. Okay. You're getting real deal analysis. He was heavy on SiriusXM on the fantasy channel there. He's been at NBC. He's been at Sports Illustrated. Understand he's putting out quality content. He's talking his shit. So we want to support Corey Parsons for pulling up here. He's giving you real deal analysis. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe and do all the normal YouTube stuff, like and all that good stuff when it comes to the content.